Making Mastery Learning a Reality one day at a time. John Bergman here. And this has been an exhausting week at school. So much going on. My students are finishing up their level 2 assessments, boss battles. My big takeaway this week is I think I've been pushing my students too hard. If you recall, last week I talked about the urgency and how to get them doing their work, etc. And as I've reflected on the level that I've been pushing them, I think a lot of it is a result, frankly, of the pandemic. What I'm discovering is a lot of students have some gaps in their knowledge. And so if they're trying to learn something that I've taught for years, I'm discovering that there's some mathematical, in this context, gaps. So the work we're doing in our chemistry class is kind of more mathematical. And the students just need some prerequisite knowledge for them to get that. And so it's just taking more time for me to teach them the things that I've normally taught them faster. Now remember, they're sort of teaching themselves through the videos, but the comprehension level just seems to take, at least in this context, I feel like one extra day. So like today, my students, and yesterday, we have a block schedule, so I see my students every day. Yesterday and today, the students are taking their level 2 boss battle. 3 of my 4 classes have already taken it, or have had the class with me. And in the classes, between 2 and 8 of roughly 20 odd kids have taken the boss battle. They're ready. And it's interesting to watch who is doing it. And I think what I'm discovering is that this is the pandemic. I'm having to flex because of the pandemic or the loss of learning that the students have had. And I've especially seen that with our transfer students here at my school. We've had a lot of students who transferred in, and we were mostly back on last year, full on. And the students who struggled the most have been the transfer students, which that they maybe at their previous school didn't have quite as a positive experience educationally as the students here. And so we're discovering that these gaps, they're real, and my students have struggled with the content. And it's not like they're like dying, they just need extra time. And I think, like last year, I don't think I'm gonna be able to cover as much as I typically would, because I'm gonna have to allow mastery to happen at the pace that's reasonable for them. Now, that all said, and I do have some kids that, boom, they're rocking and rolling, they're ready to go. I've had some kids on this boss battle, out of 100 points, get 99s, 98s, 97s, that kind of a thing. So there's a certain group who are totally tracking with the, shall we say, the suggested flexible schedule that I have. But then there are also students, most of them, honestly, who need that extra time. And so I'm just gonna provide it. And also, I think one of my motivations, just to be frank and honest, is we're having our annual, or our accreditation meeting. So a group of people are going to come in and do the accreditation meeting for our school. It comes out once in every 10 years or something like that. And they're arriving on Monday. And so I was hoping to not have the boss battles, the summative tests, the kids taking it on Monday. And so maybe I was motivated to push them so they would get to that point. And you know what? It is what it is. It's where they're at, and I just need to let that happen. And then if this 2/3 or 1/3 of my students are doing their boss battle on Monday when these visitors are here, then they're going to see that action and what that looks like, where some students are moving on to the next level, level 3, and some students are doing their summative tests. And I still got, honestly, if I were to kind of make a guesstimate, I'm going to say I got 2 or 3 students who are going to need an extra day yet. And part of that is some of those students are just not applying themselves very well, and then I'm finding that contacting the students, the urgency issue, their parents particularly, has assisted me. And but some of the students are feeling a little demoralized. I mean, one of the things, if you look at the research about mastery learning, is that sometimes students can easily get demoralized. They take a test over and over and over again, or whatever, they can't be successful. And so you've got to make sure that you provide that success. One thing I've been doing is I've been figuring out who those kids are, and I'm calling them up, or actually out, to one of these whiteboards, and then we're sitting here, and I'm having those students kind of become an instant team. My 2 or 3 or 4, it's kind of the rough number in the general of the classes, who need lots of extra hand-holding. And it's been successful with, I think, one exception. I had one young lady today who didn't want to be a part of the group, and I was bummed, because I really wanted her. She said, I can do it better on my own, and then I went and checked her work, and she didn't. So, but I do know she's planning to come actually into the class literally in just a few minutes. And hopefully I'll be able to do more one-on-one. I think she just, more intimidated by the group. I mean, there's some socio-emotional stuff going on there that it is what it is, right? So kids need extra help, sometimes need it more personalized. Working in a group, she was more uncomfortable. I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's been a great week. It's exhausting to teach this way, but I'm seeing such great progress, and it's raising the bar for all the students. And I guess the last thing I'll kind of chat about is that I'm still continually digging the 3 levels of mastery that students can demonstrate on their summative assessments. So I have 3 different summative assessments, which is a huge amount of work to prepare those. And remember, I'm doing that through software, so every time a student sits down to take one of these assessments, they get slightly different questions, and that's because I have to create huge banks of questions. And the reason I'm digging it is because I'm particularly seeing how I can challenge my advanced students. One of the rubs on Mastery Learning that's in the research is that it's great for lower students leveling up and kind of mid-level students leveling up, but it doesn't help the higher end. And with the deep level boss battle that I call the deep level test, the students now have to rise to that occasion, who are my top students. And it's challenging. I mean, this is the thing I've been adding to my question banks, is the difficult questions that weren't there last year, and they are now. And those students are like, they're figuring it out, and they're really demonstrating really deep mastery. And that's been sort of cool to watch, which students are able to do that. And it's also been interesting, I'm just rambling, I guess, that the students who took the deep level boss battle in level 1 aren't necessarily the same ones doing it in level 2. So it's not like it's like a tracked program. They get to jump in and out depending on their level of understanding. I had a student who just left just a minute ago, and what he had done is he took the middle level boss battle, and he almost scored a passing grade. And then he came back and just now passed the basic boss battle. But I said, dude, I said, you can do this. You've got the ability to at least go for the mid-level test. And I think he does. And he's going to come back and do it again, right? Mastery, they can attempt it again. Now, he passed the basic test, but I'm saying, dude, you were so close on the mid-level test, and I think he's going to do it. He's motivated by having a bit of a higher grade, but I also see that he knows that he can get it. And again, that's that stuff. I went over and said, man, I believe in you. I know you've got it. You can do this. You're a rock star, all that kind of stuff. And I think I know that makes a difference in the lives of our students. Because remember, as I've said in previous podcasts, the magic sauce of education. I mean, this is the Bergmanian idea. If you look at all the research and all of education, I think that if you can summarize it into 2 big buckets, bucket number 1 is active learning, and bucket number 2 is relationships. So if you create an active learning space, active learning wins. Active learning plus relationships is for the scores, the touchdown. It's the big deal. So anyways, you can make Mastery Learning a reality one day at a time. You've got this. John Bergman out.